Good day everyone! We are the Group 4 of Ben 21, reporting the topic entitled Moral Character and Moral Development. So I am Russell Sumandig, the first reporter of this group. Developing virtue as a habit. Moral character refers to the existence or lack of virtues such as integrity, courage, fortitude, honesty, and loyalty. Virtue is not itself a habit. Habituation is merely an aid to develop a virtue. But true virtue requires choice, understanding, and knowledge. The virtuous agent doesn't act on just merely out of an unreflective response, but has to come recognize the value of virtue and why it is the appropriate response. To say that a certain person has a good moral character means that she or he is a good person and good citizen with a sound of moral compass. Next is moral character and virtues. The term character is derived from the Greek word character, which was initially used as a mark impressed upon a coin. The word character later came to mean a distinct mark by which one thing was distinguished from others, and then chiefly to mean the assemblage of qualities that distinguish one person from another. This stress on distinctiveness or individuality tends to merge character with personality in modern usage. Distinctiveness is something that is easy to recognize because of its difference from other things. It makes us separate or different from one another. On the other hand, personality is defined as the individual characteristics, set of behavior, pattern of thoughts, feelings that make us a person unique. For instance, when thinking of a person's idiosyncratic mannerism, social gesture, or habits of dress, we might say that he has personality or that he's quite character or has a character. The use in ethics of the word character has a different linguistic history. At the beginning of the book 2 of Nicomatician Ethics, the Greek philosopher Aristotle tells us that there are two distinct of human excellence. First is the excellence of thought, and the second one is the excellence of character. His phrase for excellence of moral character, or ethikai arete, is often translated as the moral virtues and moral excellence. The Greek ethikos or ethical is the adjective cognate or ethos or character. So, when we speak of a virtue or an excellence of moral character, the highlighting is not on mere distinctiveness or individuality, but on the blend of quality that make a person a sort of ethically admirable individual he or she is. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dominador J. Villanueva III, and my report is moral character and moral virtue. Moral character in psychological sense is having or lacking a mental virtue. Aristotle defined as a disposition of to behave in the right manner and as a between of extreme of despondency and excess. We learn moral virtue primarily through habit and practices, rather than reasoning and instruction. If one virtue is lacking, he or she may have moral vices. Vice is a moral feeling and bad habit. The agent is morally responsible for having a moral character of the trait itself, or the outcome of this trait, which is it appreciate to hold a agent morally responsible. A trait for the agent is deserving for the positive attitude. We face the consequence when we do something. Thank you.
Good
day everyone, I am Jandaris Martinez from Ben 21 and my topic is about the circular relation of acts and character. In the process of moral development, there is a circular relation between acts that build character and moral character itself. Not all acts help to build moral character, but those acts which emanate or originated and produced by moral character certainly matter in moral development. So that is the circular relationship between individual acts and moral character. A person's actions determine his or her moral character, but moral character itself generates acts that helps in developing virtue or vice. For example, the person's action is telling the truth. The moral character there is honesty, and honesty itself creates or causes actions that help in one's behavior. This goes to show that moral development should also be understood in sense of human flourishing, which means developing rapidly and successfully. This flourishing is attained by the habitual practices of moral and intellectual excellences or virtues. In the context of developing morally, which also brings about self-realization and happiness, acting in line with virtues is acting accordance with reason. Indeed, philosophers like Aristotle hold that the function of the human being consists in activities which manifest the best state of his rational aspect, and that is the virtue. The person with virtue of character will have a cultivated disposition to feel emotions and desires, and also to perform actions that are appropriate to a given situation. Virtuous traits of character ought to be stable and enduring and are not mere products of fortune but of learning, constant practice, and cultivation. But we have to add that virtuous traits of character are called excellences of the human being because they are the best exercise of reason, which is the activity characteristics of human being. In this sense, Greek moralists believe virtuous acts complete or perfect human life. Nonetheless, the Greek philosophers think that it takes someone of good moral character to determine with regularity and reliability what individual acts are appropriate and reasonable in certain situations, and that it takes someone of good moral character to decide with regularity and reliability how and when to secure goods and resources from himself and others. Aristotle thus states that it is not easy to define in rules which acts deserve moral praise and blame, and that these matters requires the judgment of the virtuous person, and that is someone with good moral character.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Angeline Lo of Ben 21 to report about moral character as disposition. So first, let us all define what is moral and what is moral character. Based on our past discussion, moral is a human behavior which can be considered as right or wrong, while moral character or character is an evaluation of an individual's stable moral qualities, or the concept of character that can imply a variety of attributes including the existence or lack of virtues such as empathy, courage, fortitude, honesty, loyalty, or good behaviors or habits. So now let's all discuss moral character as disposition. So first, let's all know the definition of disposition. Disposition, as defined, is a person's inherent qualities of mind and character. It also means the positive or negative way a person views the world. In contrast, our character is determined by your inner moral values, and your personality reflects what you're like as an individual. Here, it says that disposition is a characteristic of an individual, and it could be a positive or negative one. So, means disposition also reflects your personality as a human or person, or how you view the world based on your disposition as a person. So here in our next slide, you can see some examples of positive disposition. So in the first pictures, shows a girl who is very much focused on what she's been doing. And another pictures or example as a positive disposition is being a playful or being cheerful as a individual. And lastly, can also be example of a positive disposition if you are an adventurous person. So in our next slide are some examples of negative disposition. So the first pictures, it shows that someone is being envious to another person, and on the next pictures it shows that a person is boasting about the things that he or she have. And lastly, an example is a person is being coward. It also considers as a negative disposition because being coward means you're too afraid or you don't have enough courage to face what you should be facing. So meaning we shouldn't be inherit this kind of disposition in life, because we might miss some good opportunities that we shouldn't be miss. So now let us go to moral character as disposition. Good or bad moral characters are both considered as moral disposition. Like what I have said, moral character as disposition could be a positive or negative one, like on the examples that I gave. A moral character trait for which a person is deserving of a positive reactive attitude, such as praise or gratitude, is a virtue. Here it says that if a person or an individual is being recognized based on his or her disposition, he or she could feel it could reflect on her or his disposition in life. Being received or being recognized as a person is a happy feeling that anyone could feel. On the other hand, a vice is a moral character trait for which the agent is deserving of a negative reactive attitude such as resentment or blame. So just like in a positive disposition, also a negative disposition, like for example, if an individual doesn't being recognized, or she doesn't feel that she is being recognized, or he or she is being resent by someone, it could also reflect on his or her disposition as a person. Lawrence Pervin defined moral character as disposition as to express a behavior in consistent patterns of functions across a range of situations. Lawrence Pervin says that our moral disposition could be based on a range of situations. Like for example, if someone is being bad to you, your disposition to that someone could be also bad because he or she have been always bad or not good to you. While if someone have been always good to you, showing good attitudes to you, your disposition to his or her could also be a good or positive one. And that is all for my report. Thank you for listening and have a good day.
Lawrence Kohlberg, an American psychologist best known for his theory of stages of moral development. He was born on October 25, 1927 at Bronxville, New York. He served as a professor in the psychology department at the University of Chicago and at the Graduate School of Education at Harvard University. Even though it is unusual in his era, he decided to study the topic of moral judgment, extending Jean Piaget's account of children's moral development from 25 years before he was able to publish an article based on his views. Kohlberg's work reflected and extended not only Piaget's finding but also the theories of philosophers George Herbert Mead and James Mark Baldwin. At the same time, he was creating a new field within psychology, moral development. In an empirical study, 6 criteria, such as citations, recognitions, Kohlberg was found to be the 30th most eminent psychologist of the 20th century.
Lawrence Kohlberg, an American psychologist, he is best known for his theory of stages of moral development. Lawrence Kohlberg and James Beckett. Hein's dilemma was originally conceived by James Beckett as the psychologist renowned of children's morality. Thereafter, an American psychologist, Lawrence Kohlberg, expanded her work further to build his theory, stages of moral development. So here's the story. Kohlberg asked a series of questions such as, should Haynes have stolen the drug? Would it change anything if Haynes did not love his wife? What if the person who is dying was a stranger? Would it make a difference? Should police arrest the chemist for murder if the woman died? By analyzing the answer from children of various ages to this question, Kohlberg hoped to discern the ways in which moral reasoning developed as individuals grew older. What Kohlberg was not most interested was not whether the children judged the action right or wrong, but the reasons provided for the decision. He discovered that the reason tended to change as the children got older. Before we go on to first, we must know that the Kohlberg stage of moral development, Kohlberg's moral development are said to be places of moral adequacy to explain the development of moral reasoning, which is the basis of ethical behavior. This theory has 6 identical development stages and grouped into 3 levels, which are pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional.
Good day to everyone. Our tackle for today is lesson 2 for the moral agent. Moral agent covered by level 1. Level 1 is all about pre-conventional morality. And what is the meaning for pre-conventional morality? And dito papasok yung mga batang nagsisipag-aral simula edad where comes the age of 3 to 5 years old. We're going to need and educate in the daycare centers. We need to enroll the parents and we need to enroll in that school, like daycare centers in the barangay cities of Manila. For example, many barangay will offer a daycare center that we need to learn and we need to focus on our studies. What is the meaning of pre-conventional morality? Pre-conventional morality is all about a child with pre-conventional morality has not yet adopted or internalized society's convention regarding what is right or wrong, but instead focuses largely on external consequences that certain action may bring. Ibig sabihin, kung ang bata raw ay tinuturuan ng magandang aral, maa-adapt niya ito hanggang sa kanyang paglaki, gaya na lang ng pagbabasa at pagsusulat. Na dapat nararanasan din ng bata na may tamang edukasyon. Magmula sa gulang na ginagabayan, dapat ito mula sa taong gulang na 3 years old to 5 years old, dapat nasa daycare center sila. Hindi sila pinababayan sa lansangan na pakalat-kalat, gaya na lang ng mga bata ngayon na napapanahon sa atin. Minsan makikita natin na sa daan, nakikita natin mga bata takbo ng takbo, may mga sasakyan na dumadaan. Supposed to be dapat nasa daycare center sila. Mula pa man noon, kahit walang pandemic, pinababayaan sila ng magulang nila. And next is age range. Dito papasok ang kung ang bata magmula preschool children, most elementary school students, some junior high school students, and few high school students. Ibig sabihin ang age range, dito nakabase ang moral agent na kung saan sinusukat kung hanggang saan ang isip o nararating ng iyong isipan. Gaya na lang ng nasa junior high school. Siyempre, kung nagsisimula pa lang ito, gaya ng mga nag-aaral sa grade 7, yung utak nila hindi pa ganong matured. Hindi pa gaano silang matured. Ngayon, yung maturity nila, nandiyan ka nagtatakbuhan pa, siyempre nagtatakbuhan pa sa corridor. After lang kasi nilang gumraduate ng grade 6. Siyempre yung utak nila ngayon, medyo hindi pa nahahasa. Kaya ang isip nila, naglalaro o ibig sabihin, nasa isip pa rin nilang hindi pa rin nawawala ang paglalaro. Kaya minsan makikita natin, for example, syempre tayo, nagdaan tayo sa junior high school. Until now, may isip natin nung bata tayo. Wala pa tayo sa hustong isip. Wala pa tayo sa maayos sa pananamit. Nung tayo yung mga nasa grade 7 hanggang grade 9 siguro. Grade 10, medyo matino-tino na siguro tayo niyan. Alam na natin kung paano tayo manamit ng maayos. Syempre, hindi na tayo kailangang minsan gabay ng ating mga magulang. And later on, here on the stage 1, punishment, avoidance, and obedience. Dito papasok sa moral agent ang stage 1 na kung saan punishment, avoidance, and obedience. Ibig sabihin, kung sa totoosin, when it comes to your mind, punishment, ano nga ba yung punishment? Ibig sabihin, ang punishment ay tungkol sa mga parusa. Kung sakaling ikaw ay nasa junior high, nagkamali ka, pwede kanyang guidance office. Kahit naman nasa elementary, konting mahuli ka lang na, kunyari, nagka-gambling, natutulog sa klase, dinadala tayo sa guidance office. In stage 1, papasok ang nature, moral reasoning. Moral reasoning, people make decision based on what is best for themselves without regard for others. Needs, things, or feelings, they obey the rules only if established by more powerful individuals. They may disobey if they aren't not likely not caught. Wrong behaviors are those that will be punished. Ibig sabihin, siguro dito ang bata or isang tao sinasanay na kapag nagkamali sila, nagkaroon sila ng misbehavior or sinuway nila ang batas. Dito, masasabi natin na kailangan kang bigyan ng parusa. At kailangan din na masasabi rito na pag ikaw ay nakagawa ng konting mali, meron ka pa rin dapat na maging punishment o maging pagkatapos mong gawin ang isang bagay na mali o nagkamali ka, pwede kang magkaroon ng parusa pagkatapos nung ginawa mo na yun. So, yun lamang po. Maraming salamat. Thank you for watching and listening my report.
Hello, my presentation is about the second stage, which is called the exchange of favors. People recognize that others also have needs. They may try to satisfy others' needs if their own needs are also met. For example, you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. They continue to define right and wrong primary in terms of consequences to themselves.
Level 2, Conventional Morality. Conventional morality is characterized by an acceptance of society's conventions concerning right and wrong. At this level, an individual obeys rules and follows society norms, even when there are no consequences for obedience or disobedience. Age range. Seen in a few older elementary school students, some junior high school students, and many high school students, stage 4 typically does not appear until the high school years. Stage 3. Good boy, good girl. Nature of moral reasoning. People make decisions based on what action will please others, especially authority figures and others individuals with high status. Example, teacher, popular peers. They are concerned about maintaining relationship through sharing trust and loyalty, and they take other people's perspective and intentions into account when making decisions. Nature of moral reasoning. Colebrooke identified three distinct levels of moral reasoning: pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. Each level has two sub-stages. People can only pass through these levels in the order listed. Each stage replaces the reasoning typical of the earlier stage.
Kohlberg's three levels and 6 stages of moralism. Level 2, conventional morality, age range. Seen and few older, elementary school students, some junior high school students, and many senior high school students. Stage 4, law and order, nature of moral reasoning. People look to society as a whole for guidelines about right or wrong. They know rules are necessary for keeping society running smoothly and believe it is their duty to obey them. In stage 4, authority and social obedience driven. It is important to obey laws and social conventions because of their importance of maintaining a functioning society. Moral reasoning in stage 4 is thus beyond the need for individual approval exhibited in stage 3. A central idea often prescribes what is right and what is wrong. If one person violates a law, perhaps everyone would. Thus, there is an obligation and a duty to uphold laws and rules. When someone does violate a law, it is morally wrong. Culpability is thus a significant factor in the stage as it separates the bad domains from the good ones. Most active members of society remain of stage 4, where morally is still predominantly dictated by an outside.
Level 5, post-conventional morality. Post-conventional morality, a concept developed largely by physiologist Lawrence Kohlberg, identifies the ethical reasoning of moral ethics. Moral actors who make decisions based on rights, values, duties, or principles that are universalable. Age range rarely seen before stage 6 is extremely rare even in adults. Stage 5, social contact. Social contact can refer to the sociological hierarchy leading up to social relations, an incidental social interaction between individuals.
My name is General Baltasar, and my report is the stage 6, the universal ethics principle. What is ethics principle? According to the COBEC, the sixth and the final stage of moral development is the universal ethical principle orientation. At this stage, the universal and abstract values such as dignity, respect, justice, and equality are the guiding force behind the development of the personal, meaningful set of ethical principles. Individuals in this level of development believe this ethical principle should guide their action above all else, including provision, establishment, rules, laws, and social controls. Social change has often between about by the people operating from the universal ethical principle orientation. This social change has participated by the people who action were guiding by this level of moral reasoning. Even through their ethical conviction proved to be inconvenience, difficult, or even dangerous to implement. For example, a young African American adults during 1960s choose to sit in themselves are segregated lunch counter even through they knew this action was against the law. Contrary, to the local culture and was personally risky. However, these constituents men and women believed it was their basic human right to be seated alongside whites. More importantly, this simple act of was intended to draw attention to the importance of principle that are fair and just social. Those impose segregation, they maintain a commitment to ethical principle. By using non-violent civil while risking their own personal safety, their action became a vital piece of larger civil rights movement that about the change is American laws and American culture. As a result, we have a more just and more equal social today.